Right to a channel of light fluid. We are back with NeveN again. It's time to return to Frostfang. And if you remember last time, Erik was about to challenge Sven to a bar duel. Who will win? Let's find out. The trick now is to make sure I manage to defeat Sven. That shouldn't be too complicated, really. After all, I just need to insult him. That shouldn't be too much of a problem for me. I've got some experience with this. The real concern is going to be respect in the form. After all, we're artists. We don't just throw the biggest slurs we know at each other's faces. We put a little subtlety into it. In this case, the rules are pretty simple. We're each going to take turns insulting the other using 2 rhyming lines. The difficulty is keeping the same number of syllables. The first to insult must keep his verses between 10 and 12 syllables. Beyond that, he's free to arrange a jab as he wishes. The respondent, on the other hand, must respect the imposed form. If the former uses 12-syllable verses, the latter must do the same. The one who does not find an appropriate answer, makes a mistaken number of syllables, or whose verses do not rhyme, then loses the joust. Speaking first thus offers a huge advantage, that of controlling the rhythm of the battle. Responding, however, is a bit easier than having to throw out the first insult, since it is possible to build on what was said. This is one of our oldest traditions, and it's taken really seriously. I don't think Sven would dare cheat here, or refuse to do what is agreed upon in the event of a loss. If it ever gets out, he'll just be shunned by the rest of our community. Even he wouldn't tempt Hez to that extent. It also means that whatever he demands of me if I lose, I'll have to do it. I don't have a choice. I have to win. Gideon eventually returns accompanied by Sven, his troop and Arket. The latter gives me worried looks as he approaches. Erik, what's going on? Is everything okay? I'm wondering the same thing. What have you done now, and why are you involving me in it? Well, it's up to me to take control of the situation now. Let's go, Erik. Time to show what you can do. Everything's fine, Arket. Nothing to worry about. And for once, Sven, this is something you did. I had nothing to do with it. What do you mean? Well, you see, last night I was enjoying the party, when I suddenly hear your voice coming from the stage. Nothing very surprising so far, I know. You're bound to sing at some point. And what a surprise it was when I realised you were performing one of my songs. What's more, one that is not at all suited to your tone of voice. It took me a little while to figure out how you could have come up with such a miracle. I finally figured it out. You was a whisperer, right? I hear a few surprised noises from the people present, followed by several seconds of silence. Well, at least I'm confident I've got their attention. Erik, are you sure that... You're fucking with me, right? Is that really all you could come up with? Even more pathetic than I thought. You just can't stand that someone's better than you, can you? No, that has to be cheating. It can't be you underestimating me, or worse, you overestimating your abilities. I know your voice, Sven. I know what I'm talking about. Erik, please. You can't accuse people like that. I agree with that, Bert. You have no proof of what you're saying. You're just wasting our time. Indeed, I don't have any proof. But I don't need it. I'll make you confess right here. I'd love to know how you plan to do that. Easy, Sven. I'm officially challenging you to a verbal joust. If I win, you'll confess the truth about your performance yesterday. Wait, what? Really? And why would I agree to that? Because you have nothing to lose if you tell the truth. If you refuse, it almost looks like you have something to fear from your defeat. Sven seems to think for a moment. I can see his band whispering to each other, which reinforces my point. After all, they two have nothing to fear if he is telling the truth. So be it. That's the way you want to do it. But once I win, I'll make you admit that you're just jealous and able to accept that I'm better than you. I agree with your terms. I won't lose anyway. Then I hear Mailbjorn grumbling next to me. Oh, in that case, can we speed things up? I have a really busy day. We still need a referee, my prince. Oh, by Alaria! Hey, I need a bard in the courtyard now! My ears drop to my head as the prince begins to yell. I'm not the only one visibly surprised by the volume of his voice. I guess that's a quicker way to fix the problem than going to get someone. I'd just appreciate if next time you give notice for yelling in my ear like that. That said, it seems to work. We soon see a deer arrive. He's much smaller than Vekard and looks puzzled as he stares at us. You need me, my prince?
Yes, these two want to have a verbal joust. Do you understand what that is?
Oh, of course, my prince.
Great, you'll be the referee.
The deer hesitates for a moment before nodding and turning to us. Gentlemen, have you decided on an order yet? Not yet. The buck then sighs while reaching into one of his pockets, pulling out a coin. No need to explain the rest. Heads. I guess I only have tails left then. The coin is tossed and our eyes are fixed on it, watching it spin through the air. Please flip to tails. Heads. Damn it. Sven. Sir Sven will start and Sir Erik will respond. You know me? After your act last night, I think everyone in that court knows you. He smiles at me and then looks serious again. Sven and I stand in front of each other and I focus entirely on him. I absolutely must win this duel. Brody has an advantage. I can't afford to be distracted by anything. Sven then takes a breath and unleashes his first insult with a smirk, obviously determined to throw me off my game with it. I'll spit 6 rhymes, beware of the germ, while you spit some grime, beware of the sperm. All you can spit for now is drool and muck. Maybe it's time you admit you suck. I didn't hear that you were an orphan, I thought that you were a whoreson. Well, at least I can say my parents are dead, while yours alive know what they have bred. It's that time you lived on the streets. How much does it win to suck dicks and beat meats? How much did it cost to be a failed singer, being a bitter brat and a sore loser? As several laughs erupt around me, the prince's cavernous voice is heard and imposes silence.
Let the referee decide the outcome of this duel.
I declare the rabbit the winner of this verbal joust. Gentlemen, please shake hands. I mockingly glare at Sven for extending my paw, but he gives me a hateful look, and for a moment seems to refuse to do the same. The prince frowns menacingly, which is enough to intimidate the weasel into shaking my hand. You'll pay for this. Before you threaten me any further, remember that you owe the prince and me the truth. The colourful bard growls and immediately withdraws his paw after shaking mine. He resumes his posture full of pride and arrogance and raises his voice for all to hear. The truth, huh? You really want the truth? Here is the truth. 9 years. 9 long years of my life entirely devoted to Ragor and his band. Give him absolutely everything I have, every second of my time. And then I got sick. 2 weeks without being able to sing. 2 fucking weeks out of 9 years. Then out of nowhere comes a kid who looks like he hasn't eaten in weeks and smells like a sewer. He claims to be able to sing my act better than I can. So Ragor lets him try for 1 evening. The show must go on, right? But the worst part of it all, is that the kid is right. I'm good, but by Tesla, he's better. Fuck, even then I knew I didn't stand a chance. I saw my time on stage decrease, while his was increasing more and more. And that's when I realized that playing by the rules doesn't work. Not for people like me, not for people who don't have a natural gift. I tried, I really tried. But it wasn't enough. It only took a few weeks for Erik to take it all from me. So yeah, I cheated. Of course I have a whisperer. It's the only way I can succeed after all. The world isn't fair, why would I play by the rules? For a second I find myself almost feeling sorry for Sven. And then I remember the constant insults, name-calling and mocking for almost a year. Whatever he went through, whatever he thinks, it doesn't justify his behaviour in any way. It certainly doesn't justify his cheating. Without a word, Melvion walks towards the weasel, who is gradually losing his confidence with each step the prince takes. Finally, the latter is so close to Sven, the bard's muzzle is only a few centimetres away from the bear's armoured torso, looks at him from his full height.
Do you know what is done to those who misuse their tongue in other countries?
No, my prince.
They hack off the organ by which they have heard and then nail it to the dominant hand of the accused. But we are not barbarians, are we, Bard?
The minstrel tries to answer, but only a barely audible squeak comes from his tight throat. Finally, he just shakes his head from left to right as slowly as he can, as if he's afraid the bear will rip his tongue out on the spot.
You should be grateful to Erik and thank him, because he saved you from making the mistake of cheating during the contest. You lose your place as a contestant. Your life expectancy just got a lot longer. And now, out of my sight. I'll find a suitable punishment for disrespecting our rules and for trying to sully the name of another competitor. But until then, I don't want to see you again, and you'd better avoid me.
Yes, understood, my prince. Sven hurriedly steps back for a bow to Melbjorn, then he scurries off so quickly his band remains in the room for a moment, each looking at the other without quite knowing what to do.
You will not be punished for your leader's cheating. I suspect that you knew about it, but you're not responsible for his actions. Learn the lesson and go back to your rooms.
All performers bow before fleeing as quickly as possible, and I can understand them. Melbjorn can be authoritative when he wants to be. It looks like the grizzly wants to show another side of his personality when he turns to me with a controlled smile.
Congratulations on your victory, and thank you for exposing that smooth talker.
Thank you, my prince. May I... Before I even have time to ask for permission to leave, the city bells toll loudly. Melbjorn pricks up his ears and his eyes go wide before he pulls himself together, clapping his paws.
Everyone get ready, the kings are back.
The chaos that ensues is hard to describe. For a few seconds everyone seems to bustle about, running around taking their assigned places. The guards suddenly seem to come to life, straightening up and positioning themselves next to castle entrance, while Gideon shouts orders that seem incomprehensible to me. Nobles, bards and other guests come to join us in the courtyard to welcome Lusk and Aeon. I can even see Tenok leaning over one of the top of the balconies to observe what is happening below. And at the centre of all this commotion is Melbjorn, the only still and silent element in the courtyard. He is stiffer than I have ever seen him. Not exactly the attitude I expected for someone waiting for his father's, adopted or otherwise. With a brisk step I approach him and, giving him a puzzled look. Is everything okay? You look tense.
Everything is fine, Erik. Thanks for your concern.
I just want to make sure.
Quiet. They're here.
I look towards the front gate and... nothing. I don't see anyone. I'm starting to wonder if our prince is really fine.
Observe the shadows on the ground.
Looks like my perplexity was obvious. Great. I see I'm still scoring points with Melbjorn. Taking his advice, I lower my gaze to observe my own shadow. For a moment I don't notice anything peculiar with it, for I realise the problem. The sun is shining on my left side. My shadow is in front of me, pointing in the direction of the entrance. This is absolutely impossible. It should be on my right. As I look around, I see that it's not just me. All the shadows in the courtyard are drawn towards the entrance. But that's not all. Now that I'm paying attention, I also see that all the shadows are slowly stretching out, as if someone is trying to pull on them to absorb them into a specific point. What the fuck is happening? Melbjorn?
No need to worry. Aeon likes to let people know he's coming, that's all. Enjoy the show.
This is all the doing of King Aeon? I knew he's powerful, of course, but not to this extent. He's not even really here yet. Shifting my attention back to the entrance, I notice the shadows on the ground aren't the only ones that have changed. The stone archway leading to the castle is now completely shrouded in darkness. Unable to see anything in there, from the many murmurs I hear here and there, I'm not the only one. After a brief moment, a sound is heard, a snap of a finger. The shadows stretched out on the ground, then return to their original places in a rapid glide, as the darkness covering the archway dissipates. Dazzling me in the process with the sudden return of light. Me and probably everyone else who's trying to see through the darkness. So I find myself forced to squint for a moment where I can once again observe what is before me, and thus to get my first glimpse of King Aeon. I've seen many statues and other representations of the king in my lifetime, most often in armour and surrounded by shadows when he's engaged in battle. So I think a brief moment of disbelief can be excused when I suddenly find myself confronted with a nearly naked white tiger, clad only in a leather and fur loincloth. Between him and Tenoch, I mean to think the nobility really does have a strange relationship with revealing clothing. However, as I observe him a bit more, I realize that there is probably a reason for his current attire. When my gaze falls, innocently I might add, on his torso, the reason for his outfit is obvious. His intent on exposing his body, and more specifically the brand on his chest. The shadow brand usually takes the form of stripes in the coat of its wearer. However, in Aeon's case, what almost looks like a setting sun can also be seen on his torso. This, however, is only part of his brand. The rest is mixed in with the natural stripes of his fur, making it impossible to know the exact size of it, as well as the limits of its power. One thing is certain, I'm looking at the most powerful branded of Lastra on the entire continent. He's obviously not afraid to make that clear. A movement next to Aeon catches my attention, and I then remember that we have not one king, but two. Indeed, Lusk is standing quietly beside his husband. He doesn't exactly look like his statues either. Maybe he starts to be sceptical of what's been said officially. The armour and the great battle axe are dropped, replaced by a simpler and distinctly bluer outfit. By the gods, it's unique. Let's put it this way. The other big difference with the official representations is that since becoming king, Lusk has obviously enjoyed the court buffets and gained a certain amount of weight. But then again, he's a bear. I have to admit I was expecting to meet characters straight out of a fairy tale, kings of legend. All I have in front of me are simply people. Powerful, yes, but anthracans just like me. That said, I suppose I should have expected that in of itself. If one thing is certain, after almost a week here in Frostfang, it's the nobility and royalty aren't much different from us. My thoughts are interrupted when Aeon claps his paws, a big smile on his muzzle. There you go, you've seen us, we're home! Now move along and get back to your business. I have to talk with my son. The courtyard begins to empty out in a great hubbub, while I stand there next to Melviorn, not really knowing what to do. Aeon's order probably concerns me as well, but the prince hasn't given me permission to leave. And we're technically not done discussing Sven and the competition. I turn to Akhet, who gives me a puzzled look, and I wave him off. I'm going to stay. If the kings ever want me to leave, they can always tell me then, I suppose. As I come our way, I can't help but notice the difference in the way the two kings walk. Aeon moves with typical feline grace and fluidity. There's also something about his movements that suggests he's still a predator, a hunter ready to pounce on his prey. Lusk's stance is much more composed, measured. There is a sense of nobility in his movements. I really feel like I'm seeing two different sides of Melviorn. Even though they're his adoptive fathers, it is clear they have rubbed off on him greatly. However, the most interesting thing is that I'm seeing this phenomenon that I've already seen in couples who have loved each other for a long time. They walk at exactly the same pace, never in front of each other. Now and then I can see their arms brush against each other, or the fingers of one quickly caressing those of the other as they move in our direction. If I ever had any doubt about the love these two have for each other, it is gone now. It's obvious to anyone who sees them together. When they get in front of us, I suddenly remember that I'm only a bard. I might have to show some respect to royalty, or else I'm in a dungeon or something like that. Which would make my participation in the competition a bit more complex, I must admit. So I bow as low as I can, waiting for permission to rise. Hopefully it won't take too long anyway. It's not exactly the most comfortable position to be in. Good to see you, kiddo.
Aeon, Lusk, nice to see you.
Melviorn is interrupted by the tiger, who embraces him tightly for a moment, while Lusk remains at this side. I don't dare raise my head, despite my curiosity to see the prince's face in that precise moment.
I hope you didn't have too many problems to deal with while we were away. About that, I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yeah, I can wait. There's a much more pressing matter that needs to be addressed. I feel a finger slip under my chin to force me to stand up, then I find my eyes locked in King Aeon's. I have to admit, up close like this is actually very intimidating. What kind of cute little thing is that? Seriously? Really? Even him? Is it possible to meet someone who calls me anything but small or little? Relax, Erik. At least he pointed out that you're cute. Focus on the positive. My name is Erik, Your Majesty. It is an honour to meet you, and an even greater honour to be able to sing for you tomorrow. Oh, you're a bard then, and here I was hoping that Mael would finally introduce us to his lover.
Aeon!
What, a father can dream?
Aeon, leave him alone. You've had enough fun.
The tiger throws a big grin in the direction of his husband for faceless again. Well, in that case, why are you still here, Erik the Bard? I seem to have asked to be left alone with our son.
Erik is helping with a matter related to the competition. One of the candidates was planning to cheat and he found out about this scheme. In order to thank him, I thought a meeting with you was appropriate.
I have refrained myself from giving Melbjorn a startled look. He never mentioned this to me. Is this something he had always planned, or did he just make it up?
Really? Well, that deserves our thanks.
I only did my duty, duty or not, we still thank you. This competition is important to me, and I appreciate there are other people who care about it too. It won't get you any points, though. If you want to win, you have to prove to us that you deserve it. The tiger gives me a grin, and I can't help but smile too. Don't worry, Your Majesty. I wouldn't want to win any other way. The king answers me by bursting into laughter. Either he likes me, or he's taking the piss out of me. I'm going to assume the former.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Erik, but we have other matters to attend to, I'm afraid. Melbjorn, come with us. I'd like to know what happened while we were gone. Of course. Erik, you can go back to your quarters and try not to cause any more trouble, please.
What the... I would absolutely like to protest this attack on my person. I didn't cause any trouble. It's not my fault that trouble is coming to me. For a second I consider answering him directly. If I remember the other people in the room. It may not be the best idea. I'll try. Your Majesties, it was an honour to meet you, and I hope you'll enjoy my performance tomorrow. I bowed to them again before turning around to head back to my room. I think I've had enough emotions for the day. My walk is interrupted, however, when I hear someone whistling behind me. Looks like the rear is as nice as the front. I can feel the red rising to my cheeks and ears. Not that I'm not used to these kinds of remarks. They're usually more than appreciated. But it's something else when they come from a king. The unmistakable sound of a slap on the back of someone's head reaches me.
Well, learn to control yourself a little.
It's time to get out of here. I have no desire to risk getting in the middle of a couple's fight. Especially the royal couple. Once in my room, I throw myself on my bed and sigh. For a first meeting with the kingdom's leaders, I'd say it went well. They're nothing like I imagined them to be. I suppose that's not a bad thing. They're just like Frostfang itself. Not the most civilized, but memorable. And I wouldn't mind taking a closer look at an uncivilized king like Aeon. Although we're almost 30 years apart, he is most pleasing to the eye. No, Erik, that's specifically what Rhaegar made you promise not to do. You don't touch nobility, let alone royalty. Not to mention he's the father of a what exactly? Of an acquaintance? Of a friend? Yeah, let's say friend. He is the father of a friend. I'm absolutely certain that Melbjorn would not appreciate that kind of attention on Aeon. On an equally positive note, with Sven ejected from the competition, that makes one of my main competitors down. Based on what I heard of the party, I'd say that only the poodle can stand up to me in terms of singing, and no one has Aket's level when it comes to playing an instrument. In other words, the win is basically in my pocket, as long as I don't screw up. Which won't happen. I can't help but smile like an idiot. Tomorrow I'm going to win the biggest contest in the kingdom. Tomorrow begins my new life. I don't know what's worse. The fact I woke up at dawn, which is horribly early, or there's a crease I can't get out of my best shirt. Either way, the day's off to a bad start. If there's one day that needs to go as smoothly as possible, it's this one. Not that I doubt for a second I will win. I'm absolutely certain that Aket and I will delight the kings. I have every right to be a little nervous anyway. It's not often I have an audience like this. Okay, let's focus, Erik. Make sure you're ready and there's nothing else you can do to occupy your mind. My gaze falls on a small box containing my jewellery and bracelets. When I spot the 2 earrings, I wonder if I'd better put them on. I bought them on a whim, I've never worn them. I saw yesterday that King Aeon had one. Maybe he might like that style? I tried them on the right ear, then the left, and one on each side, before throwing them back in the box, picking them up again and retrying every possible combination. I end up putting them back in their place with a long sigh. I'm getting all worked up on my own and this isn't going to help. I need to get out of this room. I'll end up trying on my entire wardrobe. The competition's until this afternoon. I have plenty of time to distract myself in some way if I have to meet up with Arcade for final preparations. Maybe I should just go talk to him more than the others? The only question is which one. I am just pausing here so you can all shout at the screen who you think it will be. See, we have audience participation at times on this channel. And NeveN Devs, yeah, I do actually have a save from my own playthroughs here so I can check out the things out. But for the purposes of this series, and also my first choice, you'll know who it's going to be, don't you? I know, yes. I wonder if Melbjorn is available today, despite all the preparation the competition requires. The prince is relatively inconspicuous considering his position, but I can count on another person to find him easily. Gilliant. The bodyguard is often seen near the bear, and when he isn't, he at least knows where he is. Now all I have to do is ferret him out. The architecture of the place makes this task quite complicated. All the corridors look the same. I'm not even sure I've seen every accessible corner of this castle yet. After a long walk through the parts of the stronghold I know, I decide to explore the ones I'm not supposed to have access to. Looks like the entrance to these quarters is watched over by 2 guards in armour. One of them is a wolf while the other appears to be some kind of badger. Look rather unwelcoming, as many guards do. It's their job, after all, to keep the curious away. Go ahead, Erik. Be charming, it should be easy to pass. Good morning, gentlemen. I hope you are doing well on this wonderful day. While greeting the guards, I pass between them as if I had permission to enter this area. That's the best I can do, to let them think I have access to these quarters. And a heavy paw slammed into my chest, getting me off abruptly in my tracks. It's the wolf who addresses me with a frown. There, take it easy. Who do you think we are? 6-week-old rabbits? You're a bard, no access to the area for you. Looks like my fame has caught up with me. I didn't think I'd be known to the guards. I don't know whether to panic or accept this compliment despite the current situation. It's time to improvise. Come on, you know very well that I've never dared insult your intellect, gentlemen. I am, of course, invited to these quarters by the prince himself. Besides, where is he? The 2 guards exchange a suspicious look. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see the badger slip his paw over the hilt of his sword. Very insistent, eh? You should know where he is. He invited you to join him. Oh shit, these guys are clearly on their claws. I'm not going to push it. You know what? Forget it. I'll look for him somewhere else. Do you think we're going to let you go like that? That's shady. But, I mean, do you really think I have the face of someone who does shady stuff? Exactly. The ones who don't have the face for it are the shadiest. I'm getting tired of all this, so I calmly put my paws up in the air. Okay, go ahead, you can arrest me. When Prince Melbjorn finds that you've locked up his favourite bard, you're going to be in for some serious punishment. I take the risk. Safety comes first. As he reaches out to grab my arm, a voice echoes down the hallway. I tilt my head a little to see who it is, and see that Gilliant is coming with a jaded look on his face. What's going on here? A misunderstanding, that's all. I wanted to see the prince and these gentlemen only did their job. I understand it perfectly. But let's say they went a little too far for my taste. He's acting weird, you told us to. Well, let him go. I'll deal with him. The wolf seems almost disappointed he can't question me further, and eventually lets go. I have to say, they really seem to be watching the paint dry here. It's going to make their day. Okay, we report that or not? No, just pretend it never happened. He is not a threat. Far from it. Again, I hesitate between being offended or just letting it slide. From the look on Gilliant's face, I'd better behave. You follow me. With pleasure. My cheerfulness makes the panther sigh. He grabs me by the shoulders to push me into the quarters that were forbidden to me. In the end, it wasn't that hard to get in.
I know you're probably very proud of yourself, but now is not the time to play. Competition's mobilizing all of guards, so security's tighter than ever.
What are you afraid of? The bard will strangle the prince with an instrument string?
We know who you are, we know who is a potential danger among competitors.
No, the problem may come from the guests.
Nobles from just about every country on this continent have come to attend the contest. We don't have time to verify the identity of every one of them.
This feline's much more talkative when he's under pressure, it seems. Never thought I'd say this, but he and Aked have something in common in that respect. I'm doing my best to lose my smile, despite the urge to tease the panther with his sudden nervousness. If even he is stressed, then the situation must be taken seriously. Look, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I'm just looking for Melbjorn, that's all.
He's in his personal library. I'm not sure he wants to be bothered.
Obviously I want to bother him. It's part of my job, after all. That said, I'm surprised the prince has a library all to himself. Oh, I just have a little something to ask him anyway. I won't bother him for very long. Gillian grunts as he rubs his eyes. He knows as much as I do that I'm lying.
You'll take full responsibility for actions. If he's displeased with your presence.
I didn't see it any other way. The bodyguard nods and accompanies me to a door in which a 12-pointed star is engraved. Religion and erudition often go hand in hand. It doesn't surprise me to see that this at the entrance to a library. It's very nicely carved. Gideon doesn't even bother to accompany me inside. In truth, once I open the door, I is that the room is rather small, given that the vast majority of the space is taken up by huge shelves filled with books, scrolls and wax tablets. It's not exactly my domain, but the smell of paper is pleasant. The quietness here is soothing compared to the agitation that's gripped the outside on this day of competition. And finally, I find the prince sitting at the reading table in the middle of the room, immersed in a book. I let my gaze linger on the letters that probably make up the title, and I finally manage to attract the attention of the bear who observes me with astonishment.
Erik, what are you doing here?
I want to see you before the contest. After all, if I lose, we may never meet again.
Ah, so as long as it gives you a reason to come and see me, you're considering the possibility that you might lose, huh?
The grizzly displays an amused look as he slips a bookmark between the book's pages, before closing it gently. Well, maybe that's just a good excuse. Melbjorn's gaze grows more insistent as I move closer to the table to better read his expressions. I just want to know if everything is okay. Everyone seems on edge, and yesterday... Well, let's just say I expected it to be warmer between you and the kings.
Ah? It's not less warm than usual.
He smiles at me as if to reassure me. I'm beginning to know that he's proven to be good at hiding his intentions. His reaction when we welcome his adoptive fathers is all the more surprising knowing that. I'm starting to wonder if the whole thing around his brand has anything to do with his reaction. Everyone knows he's branded by Lastra, as is Aeon. The spectacle offered by the tiger on his arrival may not have been to the prince's liking. He is in his shadow in every sense of the word. I understand, you're the prince. It's classified. I won't insist. Melbjorn nods with a knowing look before returning his attention to the book he holds in his paw. He pauses and sighs heavily as he places it on the table. Something seems to be bothering him, despite all his restraint.
My fathers and I don't exactly agree on how to proceed, and that's all. They've had their time of glory, and they're content with that, but I feel like they're holding me back. They have me planning parties, decorating hallways, and quite frankly, I don't mean to offend you, that's not what I'm interested in. I wish to learn to govern, not to be a steward.
Hey, everyone has to start somewhere, right? The bear grabs the book again and raises it in my direction. For a moment I'm afraid he's going to ask me to read it. Fortunately he just waves it under my nose as he smiles at me.
The Fall of Mechad. This was written by a Macadian nobleman who fled his homeland to take refuge where my fathers rebuilt this kingdom on the fresh ashes of the old power. Obviously, this noble had every reason to hate those who held power in Mechad at that time. He recounts how his family was stripped of their titles overnight, how he had no choice but to flee the country or be locked up in a dungeon for the rest of his life.
Looks like no one is safe from the central power, not even people of high birth. I rest my elbows on the table and my chin in my paws. It's rare to be able to listen to the prince. His cavernous voice is somewhat mesmerizing. It's time to let him speak, Erik. It will relax you.
Well, that's right. So you better be nice to me.
The bear chuckles while pretending to challenge me with his stare before putting the book down on the table.
Well, that's not the lesson to be learned from this work. The author talks about how the leaders of his former country had gradually softened over time. They had become quite different from Elikam, the founder of Mechad, and the other warlords who succeeded him.
I continue to listen with the utmost attention. For once, someone is telling me a story, not the other way around.
Do you understand the parallel I'm trying to draw?
I think so. Your father's a warlord too.
Were warlords, yes. Well, I don't think I need to tell you that they've started to go soft. No lord worth his salt ever leaves his castle for several days. Anyway, one might say this book only addresses a rarity in history, and that not all kingdoms end up experiencing troubled times. But look around you. These texts that surround us. They all come from abroad, and yet, here in Khazal, this phenomenon has been observed.
So, you're afraid that it will happen in Frostfang too?
Not only in my kingdom, yes, but also under my reign. I have to show both discipline and rigor to make sure that doesn't happen.
I guess now that you know about it, you'll do everything to ensure that your reign goes well, right?
I'd like to make sure that everything goes well. Well, I'm just a prince. I don't exactly have the authority to do that. Not until I'm on the throne. And sometimes I feel like the kings, my fathers, get in my way.
And have you talked to them about it? The grizzly nods silently, then tips his head back with a long sigh. Looks like he's thinking long and hard about what to say next.
Let's say, they're far from stupid. They defeated all the tribes in the region, not only by brute force.
But
like many other leaders before them, they think it won't happen to them, that it will be different. I don't want to be as sure as they are about the continuity of our dynasty. I wish I could be, but it's like always to leave the door open to decline and, ultimately, decadence.
The bear is sure of what he says, and I can hardly dispute that since I have no idea what's in this book. But from experience, I know that everyone needs to relax, even a prince. Especially a prince. I've had to entertain many soldiers and nobles before. It's through discussions with them I realised authority and power weighed heavily on their shoulders. I can imagine how much the fate of an entire kingdom can weigh on Melbjorn's. I think I understand. Well, let's rather say I imagine your frustration. But if you ask me, your fathers care about you. I believe they are doing their best, if not for the kingdom, then for their adoptive son.
I don't doubt it. But between what they think is good for me as well as the kingdom, what is actually good, there is sometimes a huge chasm.
The prince takes his muzzle between his big paws with a long sigh, while raising a most serious look at me.
That's why I need to surround myself with the right people. I'm tired of being surrounded by my father's agents. I need people I can trust, who listen to me and who can act on my orders.
And that's where I'm supposed to come in, right?
In a way, yes. Let's say I already have my agents, but I need more. You don't buy someone's trust, you earn it, and that's why I'm specifically interested in you.
That's why you were interested in me, Are you not interested in me anymore? Even though I know for a fact this is not what the prince meant, I give him a falsely pained look, and reacts to it far more than I'd have expected.
No, that's not what I meant. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I'd have a hard time thinking of you as a servant. I think you and I have moved past that since the party.
Oh, so does that mean I can consider the Prince of Frostfang a friend?
Well, if only you knew the number of people who want to be a part of my private circle. The truth is, I have no idea what a friend is, Erik. I don't know who just wants my support or who really cares about me.
What about Gideon?
He's probably the closest thing I have to a friend, I guess. Well, my father are the ones who chose him, and he's accountable to them. You understand that?
Yeah, that can be a problem in a friendship. I just have to prove that can be a friend then. I offer a beaming smile to the prince, who can't help but laugh.
And how do you plan to do that,
Well, I'll win the tournament and I'll see. That's a good start to the plan, right?
What if you don't win? Well, I can find you a little job in the castle, you know. It won't be as glorious as being a royal bard, but at least you can stay in the capital.
No! What did I tell you about helping me? It's even more important to me now. Don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of your position. And as far as the contest is concerned, I already told you I will win.
Well, I guess that's a good start to get you closer to me then. But have a little humility, just in case you lose.
I don't know that word. In fact, I didn't understand what you said. I put on my most mischievous face as I wink at Melbjorn, who shakes his muzzle dismissively.
You had better get ready, instead of being a smartass. Me too, for that matter. I've got a dinner with some foreign dignitaries before the contest starts.
From the disappointed look on the bear's face, it's clear he doesn't take much pleasure in this kind of diplomatic meetings. Well, good luck with that. I guess I'll get to see your world from the inside very soon.
Don't be in a hurry to discover it. Oh, and you better win, Erik. I'm counting on you.
I get up without delay and bow to the prince. With his blessing, I'm sure to win. After quickly snacking on something in the kitchen, I meet Aket in his room for our final preparations. So, ready? As much as I can be, I think. Worried about not knowing the reception hall. Don't know if I have to adjust to the acoustics of the room. If it makes you feel any better, I think everyone has the same problem. It's off limits in preparation for the competition, at least since we arrived. Oh, I guess no one has a head start in this race then. There's quite a lot of people trying their luck. It's unlikely he'll be the first to sing, rest assured. I give him a big grin to which he responds nervously. There's not much more we can do at this point other than trust in our abilities. I know how good we are and what we did at the party proves it in my eyes. If this place collapses on itself, I don't see how we can lose. As we walk down the corridors of the castle, I can feel a very special kind of energy running through the halls. From time to time you can hear someone's voice warming up, or notes of music echoing down the hallways. The contestants we pass have nervous, excited, or focused expressions. The tension is almost palpable. And finally we reach the entrance to the reception hall, located in the heart of the royal castle. A small crowd gathers at the entrance, slowly entering the room. Well, I can recognise most of the bards who attended the party, and also see a few nobles who seem almost lost in the group. We'll obviously have an audience in addition to the judges. Not that I mind, it'll be a good test to see if Aket and I manage to please the nobility. We blend with the group before finally reaching the place where the most important competition of my life is going to take place. And I must admit, I could hardly have asked for a better location. The reception hall is absolutely beautiful. The first thing to notice is its size. There are already about 50 of us present. I feel like the room could accommodate 5 times that number. The wooden floor is immaculate and has a slight shine to it. Imagine you must have been given a coat of varnish recently. As soon as I set foot on it, I know that dancing here will be a real pleasure. I slide on it just enough to allow me to make my moves, never so much that I risk falling or losing control. A stage large enough to accommodate a whole band has been built in the centre of the room. That's the kind of stage I want to sing on, nothing to do with that one at the party. Right next to it, also arranged on the stage, are 5 richly crafted wooden seats. Guess that's where the judges will sit. I wonder who the 5th is. What's most impressive, however, is what looms over us. The ceiling is composed of a series of stained glass windows depicting the greatest moments in the kingdom's history: wars, successions, weddings. In the centre, larger than all the others, are 2 representations of the king's Luskan Aeon. The whole thing is absolutely superb, a work of art to the glory of Frostfang. Also, as the sunlight passes through the stained glass, it colours the reception hall and the people in it in dozens of different ways. I would kill for a brand of Valeria at that moment. What could I not do in an environment like this? So much light and colour. I'm not the only one who had the idea. Out of the corner of my eye I can see several of my colleagues testing what they can do with their brands, making the light dance around. Lucky them. Wow, that's really something. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now I know I have to win, even more than before. I want to spend my life singing and dancing here. I smile like I've never smiled before at Aket, who gives my smile back to me. This place is every bard's dream. How could I not be excited to play in this room? We're not just here for our love of the arts though. It's time for me to get into the spirit of competition. I grab the falcon's claw and start pulling him into the crowd. Hey, again? I'm securing us a good seat. But we can see the scene from everywhere. Maybe it's not the stage we're interested in, it's the judges. I want to see how they react to the contestants. After all, they're the ones we have to impress. When I arrive near the stage where the judges' seats are set up, I can see I'm not the only one who had this idea. There are already people present here. However, I eventually find a space where Hackett and I can fit quietly. No seats, unfortunately. The place isn't really meant for sitting around. When I turn around to resume a conversation with the bird, I can see he's still busy looking around the room. With that look of wonder on his face, he almost looks like a kid. You don't have anything like that in Mecca, do you? Or maybe in the capital, but certainly not in Lacan. And even then, I'm not sure. Generally speaking, we prefer subtlety and discretion, including in our arts. Here, when we do something, we give everything we have. I thought I noticed that, yes. Who could blame you when it produces results like that? A brief feeling of pride runs through me as Hackett praises my country. It seems that no matter what reputation we supposedly have, there are some things we do better than others. But for now, the only thing to do is wait, which I do by chatting with my companion and watching my competitors. I'm pleased to notice the absence of Sven or his band. They obviously decided not to come to the competition, even if it's just to attend. As for Astrid, I assume she's with the other nobles. She didn't give me the impression of someone who mingles with the people when she can avoid them. Occasionally flames or ice shoot up towards the ceiling, or I can see the lights dancing in a natural way. Looks like the other competitors are making some last-minute preparations with their brands. I can feel a hint of jealousy run through me. I really wish I had my brand before I came here. I don't think I necessarily need it, but I can't deny it would add to my performance. But there's no point in focusing on what I don't have. Let's try to stay positive. The reception hall fills up quickly. In addition to the contestants, many spectators come to watch the competition. I rarely had the opportunity to sing in front of such a large and diverse crowd. Perched on a balcony far above everything, I catch sight of a tall figure. With his antlers sticking out, there's no doubt that Vekad has come to watch the contest from far away. It is as I watch a group of nobles enter, I notice the change in the brightness of the room. Not much at first, a simple detail. For a brief moment the shadows on the walls seem to quiver. And then they stretch and shift, slowly moving up the walls, beginning to cover the stained glass windows to plunge the room into darkness. There can only be one explanation for this. Aeon is coming. Hackett, I think it's about to start. The bird doesn't answer me, too busy watching the shadows slowly devour the ceiling. And I can understand that. It's not a sight you can see every day. When the dark eventually covers all the windows, we find ourselves plunged into obscurity. Conversations fall silent, so that there is a hush in the reception hall, everyone wondering what will happen next. After a few moments, the sound of wood being struck on stone echoes through the room. I briefly lay my ears on my head, somewhat appreciative of his sudden loud noises. The sound of the thump is followed by the sound of a voice, clearly augmented by a brand of air so that everyone can hear it. Birds and guests, welcome to Frostfang. A hole forms in a layer of shadow on the ceiling, allowing a streak of light to pierce through to illuminate the entrance. There stands a rooster, dressed in dark clothing, the brand on his cheek glowing slightly. Judging by the staff in his hand, he's probably the one who made all that ruckus. I'm guessing he's the announcer of the contest. Now, it's time to get serious. My name is Clovis. It is with great honour that I announce that I will be the master of ceremony for this contest. However, it is not me you'll have to impress, but our 5 judges who are in charge of electing the best among you. I know you're going to show off your skills, or to admire the best artists in our kingdom, so let's not waste any more time. Let me introduce the members of the jury. He spins the staff in his hand before slamming it to the ground once more, the sound echoing throughout the room. Show off? Representing the clergy of the 12, Lord Vol, High Priest of Galan, Master Smith of the Realm. A priest? I didn't really expect a clergyman to be on the jury, especially someone connected to Garan. I have a hard time seeing what this has to do with the arts. Despite my internal questioning, I join in the polite applause of the crowd as Vol enters the room. The sight of the priest leaves me stunned. It is every day that passes here introduces me to strange new people. The cleric looks pretty normal at first. He's a boar dressed in the traditional blue tunic of the Church of the 12. However, it doesn't cover his arms, revealing his brand to the world. And that's where things get weird. Instead of being a simple pattern in his fur, the two rectangles forming his brand on his arms appear to have been covered with a thin layer of shiny grey metal. Steel, perhaps? On top of that, there are countless droplets of metal, all different sizes, covering his arms and snout. The sight is striking, but it's clearly not natural. Someone must have done this to him. I can't imagine why. The idea he could have chosen on his own to melt the metal into his flesh terrifies me. I look away, trying to get the image out of my head. My gaze then falls on Akhet, gently caressing the gold under his eyes. It's true that it's quite similar. There's something about the priest that gives the impression of brutality, but lets you know that the operation was painful. Contrary to that, Akhet's gold bands impressed with their grace and the precision with which they were placed. The priest of Goran, after a brief pause, advances through the crowd, never glancing at them. The shadows on the ceiling slowly disappear as he makes his way towards the scene, allowing us to see him. He walks calmly to his seat, while unhooking the hammer hanging from his hips to place it on the table. Looks like he takes his position as a blacksmith very seriously. The silence that follows is interrupted by a new thump from the rooster. Lord Tenok, Ambassador of Khazal, the fire incarnates. Tenok enters in his usual style. A burst of flame shoots through the door before rising to the ceiling, while a wave of heat travels through the crowd. I can't help but roll my eyes as he enters, all smiles, greeting everyone. He waves to me as he passes me by, while taking his seat as well. Finally, please welcome the royal family. Prince Melbjorn, the heir to the throne of Frostfang. Our lord, King Lusk, the architect, the healer. And lastly, our lord, King Aeon, destroyer of walls, conqueror of the realm, the living shadow. As the trio enter the room, I can't help but notice that Melbjorn's title is much shorter than the other judges. Even the priest has more than he does. Maybe it has something to do with his age, or the fact that his brand isn't impressive enough. Whatever the reason, it doesn't stop him from standing in front of his fathers, smiling at the crowd as he walks to his seat. Moreover, the difference between the arrival of the two bears and that of the tiger is striking. While Melbjorn and Lusk merely give brief nods, Jarl makes grand gestures with his paw, greeting a few nobles personally. Finally, they take their seats, except for Aeon, who remains standing with a grin. He sets his gaze on the crowd, giving time for Clovis to join him. He then speaks up, the brand of the rooster increasing the volume of his voice. As you know, since Lusk and I ascended the throne, our goal has been to rebuild Frostfang, to return the kingdom to its former glory. In just 20 years we have achieved so much, thanks to all our efforts combined. The tribes are united under one banner. The time of internal wars is over. We rebuilt the main roads and secured their passage. Bandit attacks are almost a thing of the past. I have to hold back a laugh. A thing of the past? Really? On the main roads, maybe. I know from first-hand experience that it's not the case for all roads. But now it's time to start rebuilding our culture too. That's why Lusk and I have decided to revive one of our ancient traditions and hire a royal bard. This bard will be in charge of our entertainment, of course, but more importantly, he'll also be the embodiment of the arts in the country. That's why we want the best of the best. I also want to mention the festival in honour of my son's birthday is fast approaching. What better opportunity to showcase the talents of our royal bard? He turns with a huge smile to Melbjorn, who looks away, trying to hide his embarrassment as best he can. You can understand why. It's pretty obvious that Aeon loves his adopted son, but that's maybe a little too much. So here's your chance. You'll have a unique opportunity to demonstrate that you're the master of your art and to represent the entire kingdom. And when I say unique, that's not a figure of speech. You have one chance to convince us. One song. You have no room for error. After that, it's over. You want to be at the top? Prove to us that you deserve that spot. A silence ensues for a brief moment, for a thunderous round of applause and cheers erupts. Aeon's goal was to motivate the contestants. It's obviously a success. Even I feel filled with new inspiration. One chance and no room for error. Now that's a challenge I enjoy. I glance over to Akhet, see him gently clutching the handle of his lute between his talons. When he meets my eyes, he gives me a brief smile accompanied by a nod. Looks like even he is getting into the competition. Clovis takes the stage and bangs his staff on the floor again. Noise filling the room to draw attention to him. Good, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to begin. I call each of you in turn, and you'll have 5 minutes to get ready on stage and set up your instruments if necessary. Then, well, the stage is yours for the duration of the song. Try to impress the judges and the crowd. When your time is up, try to get off the stage as quickly as possible. The first contestant of the day will be Mr. Ameo from Corathen. The shark I spotted at the party then moves forward to take the stage. He is alone and he carries with him a huge drum. Yes, he's doing the singing and the music at the same time. I watch the bard set up when a brief pain shoots to the base of my neck. What the? Feels like a wasp sting. It'd be weird for that to happen here. I run my paw across the back of my neck and don't feel anything strange. Pain is gone. Oh, I guess it was nothing. I must have moved wrong or something. Come on, Erik, let's focus. Now's not the time to hurt yourself or imagine things. The shark then starts playing. He's good, but I doubt that's what the king's looking for. A little too brutal, I think. I listen to his piece, though, trying as much as possible to pay attention. Whether he's my competitor or not doesn't change one fundamental thing. He's an artist. He gives everything he has for the crowd. He deserves my respect. He deserves to be listened to. Once he's done, I turn to look at the judges, curious to see their reactions. They all flash polite smiles, except for Vol, who has a stern look on his face. It won't be a piece of cake to read their expressions. I also notice the addition of a new person right next to the judge's podium, Gilliant. I'm not sure when he arrived, but I guess it's not surprising to see him here. Protecting the royal family is his job, after all, and I imagine an event like this must be terribly stressful for him. Then the singers and bands come on, one after another. It allows me to confirm what I noticed during the evening. No one is bad, there are a few groups that are really excellent. However, I have to admit that one deal surprises me. It seems that, when not completely drunk, the rat I argued with yesterday morning is able to sing properly. It even goes so far as to say he sings quite well. Finally, after hearing 7 competing groups, the rooster announces what I was eagerly anticipating. And now, Erik from Skarno and Aket from Lakan in Mekhet. I hear murmurs in the crowd. Perfect. That's the reaction I was expecting. I knew singing with a Macadian would get us some attention. Aket briefly strokes the gold in his left eye upon hearing all this. For a brief moment I worry he'll crack under the pressure, but he tightens his grip on his lute and turns to me with a smile. Shall we go? Let's show them what we can do. We both go up on stage, under the curious eyes of our audience. For now everyone seems focused on Aket. But I fully intend to change that. I walk to the edge of the stage, facing the judges, a big grin on my face. It's time to do what I do best. As I take the last step to get into position, the pain in my neck returns. A brief spike of pain. And this time it doesn't go away. I wince for a brief moment before forcing a smile again. This is really not the time. Whatever this shit is, I can deal with it later. Right now I have more important things to focus on. My kings, it is a great honour to see you again. Lord Maelbjorn, Lord Tenoch, Lord Vol. It's a pleasure as well. No doubt you'll have the opportunity to hear many new and fantastic songs today, so we have decided to present you with something more ancient and local. A hymn to the glory of Frostfang, something that will, I have no doubt, delight those who have given it back its splendour. I nod briefly to Aket to signal him to begin. Our preparation time is not over, but I still feel the pain in the back of my neck. The sooner we start, the better. When I hear the first few notes, I close my eyes for a brief second, taking a deep breath before I sing. It's in the heart of my country, on top of this great snowy peak, that the elders would set us free, we the feeble, oh we the weak. Cast away, fallen from abroad, take up arms, fight for your rights, in the tyrants may there be fright, their cold corpses will pave the road. Frostfang, beautiful promised land of freedom and happiness. Whatever your past or your brand, you'll never fall in nothingness. and that's why we will never bend against the scales and the feathers. Without our chains and our tethers, our love for her will be your end. I paused for a moment, letting Aket shine alone as I watched the judge's reaction. Leon seems rather pleased. I guess his song choice was... I suddenly feel like my back is exploding. The pain in my neck seems to extend to my tail and I can't breathe. Stop. Please, stop this. My knees give out and I find myself on the floor gasping. I try to force air into my throat, but I can't. What's happening to me? Make it stop. Someone come help me. I beg you. Why isn't anyone coming? As suddenly as it appeared, the pain in my back disappears and I can breathe again. But now I feel like my head is being split in two. I scream. Nothing exists anymore except the pain. Make it stop. I can't take it anymore. Kill me if you have to. Make it go away by all means. You know what? Maybe I'll go with you to Frostfang after all. And the pain is added to the rest. Owen's image comes to me for a brief moment. You sing well, kid. I can't let you take the place of my lead singer. Sorry. You spike of pain. What's happening? Ragor never said that. Enough. Kill the rabbit. My agony is intensifying. It's not just affecting my head now. I can feel the cold steel in my throat cutting into my flesh. Don't know what to do. I just want it to end. Please, someone. I close my eyes. Maybe I'll stop the images from appearing. Maybe I could just fall unconscious. To see you finally figured out how to make money. Now, take off your clothes. No, that never happened. I hope you like the place I picked for our honeymoon. I know it's not Frostfang, but I wanted something quieter. Please, stop. Suddenly, silence. No more pain. No more images. No more voices. What was that? What the fuck was happening to me? Open my eyes. Maybe someone can help me. Explain it to me. Make sure it doesn't happen again. There's got to be someone who... What the... Facing me, suspended in the air and motionless, inches from my snout is a piece of coloured glass. I raise my head, and all around me I see dozens of other shards of glass floating, immobilised in their fall. The stained glass windows above me are shattered, and I don't know how or why, its pieces are now stopped in mid-air. What's going on? My voice echoes through the room. There is complete silence around me. No one is talking. No one is shouting. In fact, no one is moving. Everyone is still as the shards of glass around me. Hackett is still focused on his instrument, as if everything stopped when I fell to my knees. That's impossible. I don't understand what's happening. Stop this, immediately. Gilliant? I'm not alone. Someone else can help me. They're probably able to explain to me what's going on. I turn to the panther. I can see him walking quickly towards me. I should be reassured. But something is wrong. The sight of Gillian terrifies me even more than I already am. A reddish glow emanates from beneath the armour plate covering his torso. His movements are abrupt, devoid of his usual grace. The worst part is his gaze. His one healthy eye stares intently at me and he's furious. I told you to stop. I won't repeat myself. Gillian, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what's going on. The feline simply growls in response, while continuing to move towards me. I start to crawl backwards. I don't have the courage or strength to get up. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's wrong with me, and now this. It doesn't take long for Gillian to join me. I give him a terrified look as he towers over me with his full height. Deactivate your brand, right now. Gillian, I don't have... A violent pain in my stomach interrupts me as I'm propelled farther onto the stage. I can taste the blood in my mouth. My breathing freezes again as I roll into a ball in shock from the blow Gillian just landed on me. I can barely feel the tears streaming down my face. I raise my head briefly, hoping to calm the panther. For all I see is his paw rapidly approaching my face. And then, nothing. What is going on with Erik? We'll find out next time on NeveN. But I hope you enjoyed that. I'd actually totally forgotten about that little scene section in the competition. So I quickly improv something, as you could probably tell there. But yeah, we are going to be following Melbjorn's route. I mean, this bear has a library. What's not to like about him? Well, it's a good question. Does I have more books than he does? Trust me, there's a lot here. But I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun to do this particular episode. I'm loving the Kings. It's Aeon is a particular interesting one to voice as well. I hope we see more of him. He's definitely an interesting one. But NeveN will be back probably October, November, and coming up next week, we are returning to Supernova. You maybe heard Superfang got a public update, so that's what will be next weekend's video. More Superfang and more Tiger action the following weekend as we round up September with more after class and see what's going on with Lars. So there'll be those who come up, and then we have some more Monitor Hotel and After Years in early October. I'm not quite sure when they'll be, but sometime then. So that's the next few videos coming up on the channel. And as always, before I go, I'd like to say thank you to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You're very much appreciated. And my top patrons are Kartek, Kopus Vissa, Lexi Bucciarati, Bastian, Brian Hall, Tiger Cub, Alec Orval, Anubis Silverwind, Dissonance, Riz, Spiderling, Kopi, Cindy Dragowolf, Evan King, Exac, Aaron Fox, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Bieka, Harvest Mouse Productions, Over Starburn, Omar, Smuto, and Andy Peng. Special thanks to all of those. And just before I go, one thing that occurred to me right at the end there, just that description of what Erik is going through, and if any of the NeveN devs know all about cluster headaches, but if any of you have those, I'm so sorry. I know exactly what that's like. So I was definitely feeling for Erik in that section. But that aside, we have nothing else to say until it's Superfang in Supernova next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.